If you'll all please stand and repeat the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes. Commissioners, we have two sets of minutes. We'll take them individually. The first set of minutes is from the October 4th, 2023 meeting. Do we have any corrections?
I saw none.
I didn't see any either. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the October 4th commission meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. The next set of minutes is from the October 18th, 2023 meeting.
And I didn't see any changes on that.
I don't either, so I'll make the motion we accept minutes from October the 18th, 2023.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Minutes are approved. Thank you again, Lori, for all the work that you put into those. Item number 2 is Employee of the Month. We'll turn the time over to Kellie Payne for that.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Our November 2023 Employee of the Month is Alex Thane Peasy. She just recently got married, so now we're calling her by all names. So Alex has been employed with Carbon County since 2018. She works out at the rec, and she has had the title of multiple jobs. So Alex is very awesome, and I'm not going to take Aubrey's words, so if you guys would like to join me. She's all right. We'll keep her.
Hi, Commissioners. So I nominated Alex. Alex is now our Assistant Director. She was actually our Employee of the Month last year in November. I did not do that on purpose, but hey. At that time, she was our Office Manager, and she has held almost every position at our office. It makes her great at everything that goes on out there. She has a great relationship with our community, and she always tries to put their experience first. She has provided so many opportunities to our local youth over the years. She works to improve our department a little more every day, whether that's cleaning shelves or just, making us laugh. She makes us laugh every day, and she makes work fun, and we're very grateful to have her.
Thank you. And she plays the best pranks.
She does. She does.
That is all. There's that for you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Congratulations. Thank you.
If Alex doesn't want to say anything, not to put any pressure on you.
Yeah, no pressure. No, I'm very thankful for every opportunity I've had at the recreation. I meet so many amazing people, coaches, children, and one of my, I would say, biggest accomplishments is seeing the kids and how happy they are. There's a lot of work that goes, I feel, unnoticed that you don't think about, and when it all comes together and those kids are having fun and they're laughing, or even an event when everybody's come together and they're laughing, it really makes it all worth it. So thank you.
Again, thank you for all you do out there. Item number 3 is the Super Service Award. We'll turn that over to Shani.
Yes, thank you. I have the privilege of honoring our Super Service Award today to Tim Riley. And this is what the nominee had to say about Tim. Since taking on the role of museum director in 2020, Tim Riley has strived to make the Prehistoric Museum an indispensable resource for tourism and the community. Just his efforts alone to get the visitor center located back at the museum makes him deserving of this award. Along with his decision to be open on Sundays when more people are traveling through and can visit, his efforts to increase museum access and engagement, and his efforts to better publicize the museum and its exhibits. He is always willing to talk to visitors and answer their questions in a welcoming and friendly way. The museum has had its highest ever recorded visitation since Tim took over, and there is good reason for it. I can't imagine anyone who is more deserving of this award. On a personal note, I've known Tim a long time. When I worked at the college and now at the county, We have reached out to him several times to give tours in the museum. He's always willing and available and does a fantastic job. In fact, if you have not been on a tour in the last couple years, I highly recommend you do so. So it's my honor to give this award to Tim. We have a certificate and a couple gift cards. You're welcome to say a few words, and then we're going to take a picture.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, Shannon. Well, first of all, I'd like to accept this on behalf of all of the museum staff. As you all know, it's not just me down there. There's a whole group of dedicated personnel that care a lot about the museum and the recreational resources of this community. I'd also like to thank the county commissioners for recognizing that importance, whether it be 9 Mile Canyon or Jurassic National Monument or the historic districts in downtown Helper. You guys play a huge role in helping drive tourism into this county, and for people recognizing it's not just a stopover, it's a place you can spend your entire vacation and have a really good time. So I want to say thanks to you guys and thanks to my museum staff as well.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks again, Tim. You're doing a great job. Item number 4 is open sealed bids for a sheriff's office vehicle. Seth?
We didn't receive any.
Okay.
I'd make the motion, we let the sheriff and Commissioner Hopes find a vehicle.
Okay, well, look, so the bid advertised for one, we're actually doing 2 of the same vehicle.
So buy 2.
I'll
That's my
second that.
motion.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
I might mention that this is what we're seeing. There was a truck purchased just this last week, and the same thing. We had no bids come in, so we just had to go find one. That works.
Okay, item number 5 is review and possible approval of a sale of East Carbon Tower. Barry, do you want to talk about this a little bit and explain what's going on?
Commissioners, a couple of years ago, we made improvements to the East Carbon communication site, which actually resides at East Carbon City Hall. East Carbon actually allocated the funding to replace the tower that we are now occupying. Since we vacated the old tower, we saw it fit that since they purchased the new tower, they should get the old tower. And so this contract of sale would transfer ownership from Carbon County to East Carbon.
Okay, no questions?
I don't have any questions, but the terms are rather steep.
They are.
You may want to kind of divulge those. And
Hopefully East Carbon can come up with $1 to purchase the tower. So
it's pretty steep. You drive a hard bargain. I have no questions either.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the sale of the East Carbon Tower.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 6, review and possible acceptance of Southeastern Utah Association of Local Governments offer to purchase 4 building lots in Wellington for the purposes of building affordable housing under the Self-Help Home Program. Commissioner Jensen, you've been lead on this. Do you want to explain what's going on here?
I do. So in 1983, the county received in a non-payment of tax 4 building lots, and the goal was for those 4 building lots to be used for this self-help program. And in moving through that process, we've run into a snag where there needs to be some additional survey work and a new plat put together. So we need to table this until we get a little further along in that process. And so for example, the documents that we have right now do not have the actual legal descriptions because there needs to be some adjustments in the survey work.
Okay.
So
We have a,
I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we table the Southeastern Utah Association of Local Governments offer to purchase the 4 building lots in Wellington for the purpose of building affordable housing under the Self-Help Home Program.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 7 is review and possible acceptance of a lease purchase agreement between Carbon County and
Yes, Umpqua.
Umpqua Bank Equipment Leasing and Finance for the purchase of 2 cars for the Recreation Department. Commissioner Martinez, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, I'll take that. This is already a lease that was purchased and done and completed in 2022, so it's not purchasing more leases. The lease company that we originally got the lease from sold to another. So the form that they've asked us to approve is a resolution, basically authorizing 2 people, up to 2 people at the county to be responsible to do contracts, a point of contact, if you will. So we're not purchasing any new vehicles, sorry, ladies. But it's just a formality with the new lease company that they want to just identify who the contacts are for the county.
Okay, and those 2 points of contact, yourself and...
I would like to be one, and then Lynn, do you think it'd be wise to have an attorney?
Sure.
Okay,
Okay,
so we could name possibly myself and Lynn.
okay. Any other questions?
No questions. I'll make the motion that we accept the lease purchase agreement between Carbon County and Umpqua Bank Equipment Leasing and Finance for the purchase of 2 cars for the Recreation Department.
We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item number 8 is a public hearing to consider possible approval of an emergency request to the Community Impact Board for the purchase of Public Safety Interoperability System. Barry's here, so he can help correct anything that I might mistake here. But so the county and all of the cities are joining together to update our interoperability system. We used to use eForce, and it was compatible with another system that was called FatPot. The state is actually going to replace FatPot and link it to their new system. They're upgrading their system to what's called Tyler Technologies. And so the new system will talk to that. But the records management system is what talks to, actually, FatPot talks to dispatch, and then eForce is the record management system. Is that right?
Sounds like a Star Wars movie or something.
Yeah.
Characters.
With the state going to Tyler Technologies, we found another cheaper alternative, which is Spillman, offered by Motorola. But it will talk to all of the state systems. So this grant is basically to talk about and receive public information. If people have concerns or have questions about our application to the Community Impact Board, we're actually requesting all grant. It's about just a little over $500,000 grant to replace this emergency system. But there's a potential. They always ask that we put this in there. There's a potential of taking a grant loan mix or a loan, low interest loan. So anything else to add to that? Barry, nothing to add to that? Okay, so at this time, we'll open up the public hearing at 4:45. Anyone that would like to speak to this, please come to the mic, state your name.
We need a motion to go into public hearing.
Yeah, we should probably take a motion to go into public hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we go into this public hearing to consider and possibly approve an emergency request to the CIB to purchase Public Safety Interoperability System.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll now go into public hearing at 4:45. Seeing that no one's eagerly jumping at the opportunity, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing.
Make a motion that we close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 9, ratification of an agreement between Carbon County and Bradley J. Schofield to provide criminal justice defense representation of eligible clients for criminal cases in the 7th District Court of Carbon County. Commissioners, this is in addition to our public defense agreement that we entered into with all of the cities to provide public defense for indigent individuals in our community. Part of that is that we needed to hire one more criminal defender to be able to handle the load between all of the cities and the county. There's actually 2 contracts here with the same individual. He will do part-time criminal defense for the 7th District Court and part-time defense for the Justice Court. But we'll entertain the 7th District Court first. Any questions?
I have none.
Okay.
I don't have any questions either.
And all of this, I guess it's important to know that all of this is being paid for by the state as part of the grant. The counties and the city continue to pay what we paid before, and the state is picking up the additional costs for the additional attorneys. So
I'll make the motion that we approve the ratification of the agreement between Carbon County and Bradley J. Schofield to provide criminal public defense representation of eligible clients in criminal cases in the 7th District Court of Carbon County.
And I'll second that motion.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And this is the second part of this. This is a ratification of agreement between Carbon County and Bradley J. Schofield for representation of eligible clients in criminal cases in Carbon County Justice Court and East Carbon Justice Court, filed by Helper, Wellington, and East Carbon cities.
No questions.
I don't have any questions either. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the agreement between Carbon County and Bradley Schofield for representation of the eligible clients in the criminal cases in Carbon County Justice Court and East Carbon Justice Court, filed by Helper, Wellington, and East Carbon cities.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, item number 11 is response from Assessor Bishop to the June 28th, 2023 corrective action letter and update letter from the State Tax Commission. Prior to your response, I just want to lay out some ground rules. This was given to us by the county attorney. As we move into item number 11 on the agenda, we want to set some ground rules and clarify how we will handle this item. Assessor Bishop has asked to respond to the State Tax Commission's corrective action letter and update letter that we read in the last commission meeting and which we commented on. At this time, this is the time that he will be allowed to make those comments. We would remind the public that this commission meeting is a meeting at which the commission transacts and discusses its business. In short, it is the commissioners' meeting to take care of items that specifically require their attention, and it is their opportunity to discuss those items publicly. While it is open to the public, while it is an open and public meeting, which means that the public is invited to attend and listen, it is not an open microphone session nor an open forum. Further, his agenda item is not a public hearing, meaning we do not intend to take public comment at this time. Additionally, no persons will be authorized to speak unless requested to do so by the chairman. This is not the intention of the chairman it is not the intention of the chairman to open the meeting up to comment. So please do not raise your hand or speak out or shout out from the audience. You will not be recognized. If the chairman wishes to hear from you, he will call on you. We will now invite Assessor Bishop to come and make his statement. Thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity to address the audit letter that was received in June and read by our local commission during a recent public meeting. The state audit highlighted 5 areas that I will go over in a moment. I would like to address directly 2 comments made in the beginning of the letter that I have received the most attention and comments and questions over. These are, and I quote, "New data was recently come to our attention that may require the involvement of the Office of the Attorney General for further investigation." And a further review of or investigation may be necessary to ensure that Mr. Bishop is not in violation of state laws or appraisal ethics standards. I have learned from the State Tax Commission that no referral has been made to the Attorney General's office. And to the second point, that no violations in ethical standards are taking place. As always, my office is open to review from the State Tax Commission at any time, and I have shared any and all information with them in regards to these matters, and I can continue to commit to do so. Now I would like to address the 5 areas that they highlighted. 1, communication, and ask for assistance to mass adjustment and factoring to the assessment roll before the assessment roll closed. This will ensure the assessor's office and division has sufficient time to review, run error checks, as well as perform data verification to provide a more fair and equitable tax roll. The assessor's office has prepared its annual plan and in order to collect the needed data and to close the tax roll within the time to perform all of these checks. We feel that we will have sufficient time to be able to do that this year, and would highlight that while we will make every effort to close before to perform these checks, over the last 3 years, we have increased the market value by close to $1 billion. And when increasing values of this magnitude, it is important to take all necessary time to be able to ensure that the decisions that we are making are fair and equitable. Point 2. Spend all time and energy necessary to learn from the division and their staff of PUMA to better understand how to use the tools in assisting the mass appraisal, mass appraisal. To work closely with PUMA staff to make sure that the data is not only pushed correctly, but to the administrative system, but also that the 2023 data is rolled over to the 2024 tax year correctly in subsequent years. PUMA, the program that we use for collecting data, is under development. And several counties have refused to go on to it until the functionality and bugs are worked out. I sit on the MCAT Executive Committee and am deeply involved in the guiding decisions of this program and its funding. PUMA is the best program out there that is available to assessors. However, it is not perfect. And when PUMA has to integrate its data into outside systems, in our case, it's coins, errors can occur. And currently, there are no data validations between these 2 systems, meaning that once data is sent from the PUMA system, there is no confirmation that the updated values have taken place. This right here is a printout of all of the changes and corrections that have been taking place in PUMA just this year. There are several hundred. These range from increased functional uses that we needed as assessors, as well as correction of simple bugs from things not populating correctly or reports that run in the background not holding values correctly. We will continue to work with the PUMA staff to ensure that the staff, that my staff is trained to the best of our ability, and that the workforce has the tools they need to perform the task each year. We do not have the workforce to maintain fully 2 databases, and we will focus all of our time and efforts in the PUMA system, which is the direction we believe the state is moving. Third, the division will perform a detailed review audit and investigation into the concerns surrounding the parcels that were in the detailed review area during 2023 tax year. The assessor will comply with orders and directions that are the outcome of this process. In the update letter, the recommendation has been given to redo the 2023 detailed review area. I will be getting more information and clarification from the state as to how they would like this to be seen. Because our memorandum of understanding, which is what we signed with the state, has already been produced, we will need to amend that to make sure that we have the tools required to perform what the state is asking us to do. I thought it strange that after the tax commission came in and made changes to the values in 2023, that they would then direct us to make a complete review of 2023, essentially saying that at this time, they're not even confident with the numbers that they came up with. 4, the assessor will come into compliance by obtaining his certified general appraiser license or become designated by the state to appraise non-residential properties. If this is not a viable option, the county will need to contract with a certified appraiser to complete the appraisal of non-residential properties. At this point, we are now compliant. The county has contracted with Lix Evaluations. It is important to note that at no time has the county ever had the ability to do their own commercial appraisal work, and it has been hired out to an outside company in each instance. My aim in getting the commercial appraiser's license is to eliminate this as an outside expense. Last year, I enrolled in every class needed to obtain this license that is put on by the State Tax Commission, but each class was canceled due to lack of participation. I was pointed from the state to the classes that would be held this year, and which I have signed up, enrolled, been taking, and I'm passing. 5, the assessor will need to ensure that he or one of his employees is able to obtain designation from the state of Utah that will allow the office to appraise and audit business personal property under their jurisdiction. This point is now compliant. Both myself and my chief deputy have obtained this certification. The state knows that it takes around a year to obtain this designation just based on the classes and the demonstration that must be performed. Those are the 5 points, and those are the assessor's office response to those 5 points. It is important to note that in the production of a fair and equitable tax roll, there have been several things that I, as the assessor, feel that I should bring to the public's attention. And I feel that by doing so, it will create a more transparent environment to what has taken place this year. The first is that my office has been repeatedly criticized for meeting with taxpayers and using the tools that we have in order to help them better understand how values were set and what a fair and equitable market value could be for their home. I have, in public, stated that I will fight for the lowest possible value to be assigned to a home. And that is only applicable when the value currently on the home is above market value and it is too high. It is also true to say that I would fight for the highest possible value if the value on the home was too low, because the only value that is allowed to be placed on the home is a fair and equitable market value. When we receive an appeal from the State Tax Commission, this is included in every single appeal. It says, "The parties are encouraged to continue settlement discussions. Neither the filing of this appeal nor any proceedings scheduled during this appeal process precludes further discussion or negotiations between parties. The Tax Commission fully supports and encourages continued interaction between parties to attempt to reach an agreement on the outstanding issues. If the parties reach agreement prior to the hearing and submit an agreement to the Office of the Commission will issue the order of approval of stipulation. A stipulation can be found here." This is the guiding principle that I have always used to be able to meet with individuals that have issues with the current market value that may be on their home, and to reach negotiated settlement. There are many people that I met with this year that I disagreed with the value that was currently on there. There are some that I did agree with the value, defended it, and we have a whole binder of people that we just simply told them, we do not recommend a change in your market value. In that regards, I believe that we do fall under the our obligation to be fair and impartial. Okay, so I got 3 other things. And okay, the next point that I'd like to raise is that not all taxpayers are being treated the same. Most taxpayers have been repeatedly sent to my office and have been told that there is nothing that other offices can do to them. However, today, the American Legion came in and raised a concern to our treasurer that they should be tax exempt. Today, the treasurer unlocked the tax roll, changed the status to exempt, and then closed the tax roll again. After that was done, I then received a PT10 form asking it to sign and process it. The American Tax Legion does good work, but their building, they rent to a private business. The assessor's office does not support when a charity has a piece of real property that they are renting privately, and so it should not be tax exempt. The fact that the treasurer had the ability today to unlock the tax roll, change the taxable status, and then close the tax roll means that there is 2 tracks. People who have come in and are being told they cannot be helped, and others who are coming in and immediately having their concerns addressed. It's inappropriate. It's like no one in the county has the authority to do what the treasurer did today. Okay. Point number 2. I am increasingly concerned that the way that new growth has been calculated in this year is inflated. CRAs should not be calculated into new growth until after the CRA is completed, and I cannot see anywhere that project area new growth is being taken out. The Tax Commission give a handout to highlight what I mean by this and why it matters. This right here is the handout. And this is where I just copied that right out there, where the CRAs, when it's ended, becomes new growth. Why is that important? There are several large entities that are under CRAs, Bar Choice for one. That means that the new facility that was built, the new factory, should not have been considered new growth until after its completion of the CRA many years from now. By taking the new growth this year, taxing entities and the budgets would have been increased or inflated inappropriately. Point number 3. This year, our local commission did invite the state to come down and conduct an audit. The resulting of that audit made a disproportionate amount of market value to be placed into one area in the county. We received over 880 appeals that are being processed, and that roughly works out to about 5% of the county. In the O2 area, where most of the value was increased by the state to include a 25% increase in improvements, that means the buildings, a rolling back of any lowered values in land to a higher value that was on the tax roll in 2022, and then an age-based study, which put in value based on the age of the property. In that area, in the O2 area, almost 50% of the appeals that we received were from the O2 area, meaning that you were 10 times more likely to need to appeal your value this year if the state touched your value. If they did not touch your value and you were in any other part of the county, only 5% came in. But of the ones that the state touched, 50% came in. Point number 4. This year, I think it's important to note that we had to deal in the assessor's office with the creation of lists. What do I mean by this? The treasurer and the clerk have created lists of parcels that they were unhappy with and have been sent to my office. The treasurer, and I'll be happy to put these lists out so people can see them. The treasurer has prepared a list where the vast majority of the properties listed on this list required little to no change. And those that did require change, we moved immediately to correct. The BOE process is the time when corrections can be identified. It is not the time when we look at a perfect tax roll. The clerk and the treasurer have no accountability to constituents or statutory authority to make these lists and to try to dictate values or exemptions that should or should not exist. Our office has been audited repeatedly throughout this year and has the highlight for the need for proper training, licensing has been given to us as a correction. These offices have none of these elements. I would ask the taxpayers, is your property on one of the lists created by the treasurer or the clerk? How did your property get on that list? And what is their accountability or benchmark for putting something on that list? Is your primary exemption being questioned by the treasurer or clerk? I understand the role of my office, and I will defend my staff as they learn to do their best in serving the community here. I hope that the Commission understands their role in setting an impartial budget and in setting the tax rate. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. Mr. Bishop has spent this entire time talking about a narrow window of time between June 2nd of this year and today. What I want to do is explain what has happened since he took office 2 years and 10 months ago. When he came in office, it was rumored that he had a private appraisal business and that he did not intend to be at work here very much. He was talked to, and it was brought up, the worry that we had. And for 2.5 years, he just didn't come to work very much. He left his staff unattended. People who came in, citizens that wanted to talk to him, were not able to talk to him. They would go to every other department trying to figure out what they could do, including the three of us. He was talked to 4 times in a very formal setting about that. And he informed us that we were not his boss, and he was going to do what he wanted. And so that continued until June of this year. when there was another meeting held that prompted us to become very concerned about, let me back up, within a year and a half or so, his entire staff left the county. So he had to hire new people, and it would be reasonable to think that with new staff, Mr. Bishop should have been in that office a lot, training, double checking their work, making sure that there wasn't mistakes. So when May 22nd rolled around of this year and the tax rolls were not closed, Mr. Bishop had not been in the office and wanted an extension on closing the rolls, red flags begin to go up because there are deadlines. His deadline of May 22nd to close the tax rolls, if it is not done, that affects the clerk's office, who has to send out the tax notice to everybody to review, to look to see if that's accurate, and if it's not, the process of signing up for BOE is in place. The commission has to set the tax rate, which gets pushed back. All of the taxing entities, the school district, Price River Water Improvement District, the Water Conservancy District, and all of the other taxing entities are waiting for their numbers. And then the BOE process has to be set up so that those who have discrepancies in their opinion of the rate or the value of their properties can have a chance to come in and go through that process. And Mr. Bishop explained that. There's several ways that can be done. Mr. Bishop met with most of those people personally. I might make mention that there are, in our information, there are 913 people who signed up for BOE or came in and met with Mr. Bishop through that process, and which really is unprecedented. This is not normal. As the state got involved and came down in June to try to figure out all the mistakes that were being picked up, and we all became very concerned about the values that the taxpayers had on their taxes, particularly the commercial appraisals that Mr. Bishop did without the licensing. And there were huge inconsistencies. And so between June 2nd, when Mr. Bishop closed the tax rolls the first time, those were his numbers. No one had any input in those numbers. The tax rolls were closed a second time on June 16th. And between the time of the first closing on June 2nd and the closing on June 16th, there were adjustments made. So if you live in Price City, you paid less tax than you did last year. But in the county and other places throughout the county, the amount of tax you paid went up. So there was huge concerns, and we because he had not been in the office, we brought the state in, and the state did their investigation, and their comment is this is unprecedented. They have never seen anything like it. And every time they went looking on one thing, they found 10 more problems. So this is the part that the public needs to understand, is the history of why there was some questions asked by us and everyone. That's the root of this problem here. And Mr. Bishop, in June, finally made a commitment that he would be in this office 40 hours a week, which has not occurred. So I'll pass it off, Tony.
I echo a lot of what Commissioner Jensen said. We we've tried to build a culture here, the commission has. We've tried to knock down some silos that were in here, some kingdoms that were established. We've been pretty successful at doing that. You don't have to ask us, ask the employees that are still here if there's been a difference. We've tried to establish a good culture here, a working culture, not an individual group or a segregated department that's on its own. We talk about leadership and owning things and trying to make things correct. It's interesting that most of the folks here will admit, hey, I made a mistake, how do we fix it? I don't know that I've heard those comments come out of the assessor. Everything is twisted that it's not their fault, it's the commission's fault, it's the other elected officials, it's the state, it's the other assessors, it's everybody else's fault. But leaders don't do that. They assume the role that I want to make this fair and equitable for the community. What we're doing here is not a happy thing. Gillen, we've had, I don't know how many meetings with you. And I even told you to your face, Casey and I were in the room, that basic your attitude was like you were telling us to F off. And I just said those letters. I didn't say you swore, but all you focused on was not of your attitude, not trying to make it better, that I don't say those words. I didn't say you said the words. I said your attitude needed to be better with us. There's kind of an analogy that, since it's the World Series time, it's a baseball analogy that states that you can fool the players, but you can fool the fans, but you can't fool the players. And the players in this instance are a lot of the citizens. They don't understand the complexities of what goes on in your office. It's complicated. I think you would admit that. But those that are around it every day, the players, they see what happens and what does not happen. They see the communications, they see the frustrated folks that are in this area. We have taken the responsibility to solve this, and we will solve it. All we're asking for is those people who have created problems to own them and fix them with us. That's our guide. That's what we're going to do. This will be corrected. Commissioner Holmes.
I think it's important to understand that at no point in time did we ever say that Mr. Bishop doesn't have the ability to do this job. I think he's very capable. He has the license to do the residential work. He did do the commercial work without the license this year. There's no disputing that. I think he has the ability. I don't think he's put the time into it, into training his staff. There is not an appraiser trainee yet in his office. All of his staff are not designated, and they weren't designated until the state stepped in for any other licenses. That's important for the public to know. And that came about because of the investigations that were starting to be done. I think it's also important for the public to understand and to know that in the end, the tax pie, or the total taxes collected, is the same year over year. But what happens when the tax roll is incorrect is there's an unequitable distribution between taxpayers. I want to give you an example, a few examples. And this was printed out on October 17th of this year. Okay, there's a commercial parcel that in 2022 was valued at $356,449. Currently, it's valued at $69,521. That's a shift in taxation that I don't believe has been fixed. If it has, fantastic, but as of October 2nd, that has not been fixed. There are commercial properties that have a value for the improvement of the building, but they do not have a value for the land. Possibly, he's calculating the land inside that value, but these are the things that are, Mr. Bishop? Okay. These are the things that brought us concern as elected officials. They were brought to us by the clerk or the auditor, who has a responsibility in state statute to review the work done by all offices in this building. Those were some of the errors that were brought to us. A whole stack of them. That's what's concerning to us, fair and equitable. He stated it. That is his statutory responsibility, is to provide a fair and equitable, not the cheapest, not the best for the citizen, but a fair and equitable so that the taxes are equally distributed, so that pie that we talk about in the end, the total taxation, is split based on the value of each of those properties, fair and equitably, not to give anybody the best deal. But because of the errors we were seeing, another one is, and I believe it's been corrected, but another one that was a piece of mountain ground that was placed under commercial designation. And they do have a portion of that is a commercial, should receive a commercial designation because they do rent out spots for campers. But instead of 1 to 5 acres being designated, the whole, and I can't remember, 2,000 acres, their tax bill would have been $20,000. Those are the errors that we were seeing. That's why we asked the state to jump in. It's not because we're going after Mr. Bishop. Again, we think he has the licenses and the ability to do his job. He just wasn't in the office enough to accomplish that. That's all I have to say. Anything else?
I do. The 913 adjustments were a BOE, folks, that came through. I'll take you back to June 2nd when Mr. Bishop closed his tax rolls the first time. Those were all his numbers. The assessor has issued 359 value changes to property. So over 1/3 of all of the properties that had adjustments, he lowered lower than his original June 2nd values. So we have a lot of people that are very, very happy with him, and I understand why. It's pretty good when you can get your values lowered. But he didn't even defend his own numbers. And people were coming in so fast to get values changed, and he gave them way too much. Now, another thing, that 251 of those 930 are ones that were not in that area where the state raised the amount. And quite a few of those are lower than your original values. So we lost value. You've made the claim that it can be made up over the next 3 years, which is accurate. But those who got the break this year won't have to pay all that back. We all do. And the taxing entities this year will be shorted a fairly large amount of money. So, and I think the other thing, you did not make the comment here about who made those changes, but you have made the comment that it was us. In front of everybody here, you said it was the state, which is accurate. We did not change the values. The state did, not us. And you've told a lot of people that we did it. And we've had lots of people come in and talk to us personally about that experience they had with you. Inappropriate. No.
Anything else?
No.
One thing I'd like to add to is that as the state said, this is unprecedented this year, but last year there were issues as well. they didn't feel that it was worthy of a correction action letter. But they did have another county, they said, that was worse, which turned out to be Wasatch. I don't know if anybody minds me saying that, but they had to spend millions, over $1 million to get some commercial appraisals done. This is going to cost the taxpayers for the folks that we've had to hire to try to correct the problems. We've got a person in there that's doing the residential and the land. We've got another person that's doing the commercial. This is going to be fixed, like I said, but it's going to come at a cost. We've tried since day one to work with everybody, like I said earlier, but it seems as though Mr. Bishop doesn't want to be a team player, and this is the situation that we're in.
I do have one more thing. This is from the state code. Changes in assessment, force and effect. The County Board of Equalization, who was the three of us, may direct the assessor to add to the amount, number, or quantity of property when a false or incomplete list has been rendered. Make and enter new assessments, at the same time canceling previous entries when any assessment made by the assessor is considered by the board to be incomplete or incorrect. The County Board of Equalization may increase or decrease any assessment contained in any assessment book. We do have authority. And all we're trying to do is make sure that the citizens of this county are treated fairly, all of them. And that has not happened this year. And it may have happened last year, but we didn't probe deep enough. Because you haven't been in the office and haven't been there for your people and the public and even for us and the other departments. That's why this got raised. And you got caught this year. You got caught by everybody. And you've got mistakes. You can't blame those all on Puma nor Coins. Because both Puma and Coins have indicated you have not cooperated with them, and they would have helped you walk through this. You haven't involved the state like you could have and should have. Everybody involved makes the same comment. I would have helped, but he didn't want my help. He said he was okay. Even other assessors in this state offered to help you. So those are not lies. Those are straight from people involved very deeply, like Commissioner Martinez just mentioned. And we've been way too deep in it. Way too deep. This has burned up so much time of everybody's, it's unfair. We're not getting our work done. The clerk's office isn't, neither is the treasurer's office. And you've made a commitment to come. You've made a commitment to come, but we're still not sure you're going to keep that. And when the comment is made about this is the public's responsibility, we have no authority to remove Gillen from office. So this county has been paying Mr. Bishop, I believe, $78,000 plus benefits, and he's only been here part-time. I'm done.
Do you have anything?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We are adjourned.